Hey, everybody, it is Tony George along with a familiar face in the NBA, WNBA, and of course, small conference college basketball. My buddy from Atlantic City, Missouri, have been with me here for about 4 or 5 years as a staff capper. Tim Fynes joins me. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Tony, I'm doing great, pal. Ready for another WNBA season. We're ready to rock and roll here. Been watching a lot of scrimmages as per usual. This year, it wasn't really more about the overseas market. It was more about watching Unrivaled in the summer. Some teams are very happy with how that have gone. Some teams have lost literally their starting point guard, their starting wing, and their starting center. So some teams are a little pissed off at Unrivaled. Nonetheless, it was a very big success, and I think it's going to play a big part into the WNBA season and how this all comes about.
Yeah. I was reading an article about the WNBA here the other day, and they had an interesting stat. From 2008 to 2023, there were 0 games in the WNBA that had 1 million viewers. Last year, the Indiana Fever, when they were on TV 23 times, each game had over 1 million viewers. Caitlin Clark, of course, Angel Reese, a couple others came into the league last year and ignited it. You got Paige Becker now coming into Dallas, I believe.
She is, yeah. She was the first round pick of the Dallas Wings this year.
Right.
Yep.
So more excitement for the WNBA, and because of the increased viewership, they also increased the amount of games they're going to play this year, 45 games. And, of course, we've got a lot of same faces in different places scenario, which is always troublesome to figure out, because the chemistry, some teams have their core still together, but others don't. So you have to worry about the chemistry issues out of the gate. And, of course, we have 9 brand new head coaches.
Unbelievable.
So there's a lot of, I would say, uncertainty. We're taping this on Friday, the opening day of the WNBA season, folks, and we don't have an official pick out. And for the reasons I just mentioned is why. We want to kind of see how the dust settles, and, of course, and then kind of go from there, see who develops their chemistry, so on and so forth. But we're going to give you a look into at least what we see out of the gate. And the New York Liberty won the title last year, and it looks like they're the odds-on favorite to win it again this year, Tim. And I'm going to turn the baton over to you, but I am going to pull up the latest futures odds. New York Liberty plus 200 to win it, followed by the Las Vegas Aces at plus 325. Minnesota Lynx, which I've read a lot of people are high on them, at plus 350, and Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever plus 400. And then after that, the odds jump up to the Mercury plus 1,200, and then Atlanta Dream, I know you're kind of high on them, at plus 5,000, and they go up from there. The Golden State Valkyries are at plus 20,000. If anybody likes a long shot, I don't think you need to bet that. But
I don't either. I think you're probably better off taking if anybody follows Major League Baseball, you're probably better off taking the Chicago White Sox to win the World Series than you are for them to win the WNBA.
Well, let's start it out. I mean, the New York Liberty, I think you would agree, and I have your power ranking list, and you do have them, the returning champions, 32-8 last year, won the WNBA championships. They got a lot of depth. They got a lot of top talent. Your thoughts on, I guess we know that New York is the odds-on contender, but who's going to be the ones that sneak up on them?
Well, it's funny because I think, Tony, everybody looks at, it's kind of that saying, take a shot at the king, you best not miss. In this league, it's take a shot at the queen, you best not miss. And to be honest with you, I'm not really entirely sure why. And the odds are, and we're just going to give you a free little nugget here. I think the way we're going to do this show is every now and then we're going to just kind of go off cuff. For plus 220, as Tony just mentioned, it is absolutely worth going to the window and taking out a flyer on the New York Liberty at plus 220. They are the odds-on favorite. I do back to what I was saying is I don't understand for the life of me how people think losing Kelsey Plum, who, in my opinion, I said it, and I told you this the other day, Tony, and emailed this, I texted this to you. She's one of the top 4 or 5 players in the world, not the WNBA, the world. It's a little bit of a bold statement, but for me, it goes, everybody else has New York, Las Vegas Aces, then the Minnesota Lynx, and then obviously a big drop off and you have the Fever, right? For me, it is absolutely the New York Liberty, the Minnesota Lynx, and then the Las Vegas Aces. You know, you cannot just lose Kelsey Plum, and you cannot look what happened to the Minnesota Lynx last year, the way they played together. And we talk about new faces in different places. The one organization and the one squad that did not have that happen to them is LaSalle alum head coach Cheryl Reeve and her Minnesota Lynx. They returned 7 of their top 7 rotation players and 12 of 14 overall. And the 2 that did return are the 2 that didn't return, are the 2 rookies that they drafted. So I have Minnesota easily number 2, well ahead of Vegas. I don't even have the Las Vegas Aces, and this is coming from me, who had the Aces for 5 straight years, number 1. I have the Las Vegas Aces number 4 this year. And the surprise that's probably going to be so far, not so far this show, but for me, New York Liberty 1, probably not a huge surprise there. Even the Minnesota Lynx, I'm probably in the 5 to 10 percentile, but I don't think it's a huge stretch. I mean, they were a foul away from winning the WNBA title in 2024. So it's not a huge stretch for me to say Minnesota Lynx are the number 2 team. But my number 3 team in the WNBA this year, the Atlanta Dream. And the Atlanta Dream, if you just look at the odds here, plus 5,500 to win the WNBA championship. You want to talk about a flyer to make some money. I know I'm going out on a limb here with putting them number 3, but if you look at the talent they added and the way now keep in mind, Tony, I follow this mid-major stuff. As you know, the head coach of the Atlanta Dream now comes from Florida Gulf Coast University. I'm going to give you an interesting stat for any basketball person who even knows the ball looks like a pumpkin or knows the ball is round, is going to have to think about this and say, there's no way that stat is possible. Last year, out of 2,002, so essentially 2,000 shots, the Florida Gulf Coast University, who now is the head coach of the Atlanta Dream, out of those shots, only 17% of them were 2-point field goals. 17%.
Wow.
So now wow is right. So now you have Brittany Griner, who's going to draw attention down low. You have Alicia Gray. Do you think Alicia Gray is going to like playing and bombs away? Do you think Ryan Howard is going to like playing and bombs away? And now if you have some misses, what happens? You have the tallest, biggest body in the WNBA to go get you what we call garbage points, easy stickbacks in Brittany Griner. So that's why I think the Atlanta Dream are really going to take some people by surprise. And after that, I do have the Las Vegas Aces. I have them at number 4 this year. I love head coach Becky Hammon. I just don't believe that you lose a player like Kelsey Plum and stay the queen. I really don't believe it.
Yeah, you got Atlanta. They were at 20.5 wins. They got juiced up, and then they went to 21.5 wins for their season win total. And you're leaning hard on that right there.
That was, for me, that's the play of, and we can say it because it's, everything has been out and right now. For me, you're still going to have about, and once we get this, live and we get this posted, you're still going to have about an hour or 2 to get to the window. If you're going to the window, the 2 best plays we're going to give you right now are in order: the over on the Atlanta Dream season win totals, the New York Liberty to win the 2025 WNBA championship as high as plus 220. I've seen it around plus 200. I've seen it to plus 200 to plus 230. So take your pick there, whatever outlet you want to go to. And to take a flyer on the Atlanta Dream at plus 5,500 to win the WNBA. And that's in order.
Tim Fynes joins us here, my WNBA and college basketball staff capper from Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now, Tim, I'm wondering what kind of effect. Now, I know that Caitlin Clark came in with a lot of hype last year, but she backed it up. Now we've got this girl, Paige Bueckers, out of UConn. Your thoughts on her impact on Dallas this year and their season win total?
Okay. I'm going to make sure I say this with a disclaimer. Dallas Wings fans, please don't hate me. I don't hate you. Please don't hate me. Please don't be a keyboard warrior. I'm going to use two words to describe Paige Bueckers. Gravely concerned. Gravely concerned. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'll be brief. She has had 3 on the same knee. 3.
Yeah.
ACL, MCL.
Yeah.
That is gravely concerning.
Yeah.
It's gravely concerning. And by the way, she is minus 370. Minus 370 to win the 2025 Kia WNBA Rookie of the Year. Mind-blowing to me because she is one practice, one jump shot, she could get hurt with that knee, and I'm not trying to be funny. I hope she does not. I pray she does not, and I mean this. I don't want to see Paige get hurt, but I am gravely concerned. If she tears that a 4th time, that is lights out and game over. She's not playing it. It's over. She's not playing at UConn anymore, Tony. She's not playing against Butler. She's not playing against Georgetown. She's not playing against Providence. Now she's got to go amongst the trees of the likes of the LA Sparks, the Seattle Storm, Brittany Griner, Napisa Collier, Anaya Wilson. That's going to be very, very scary for her. And like I said, gravely concerned. I would take a total pass on Paige Bueckers. I think she's an amazing player, but I really just am scared to death for her and for everybody in that organization that she gets hurt. I was very surprised they took her first, knowing that history, because as you well know, Tony, they bring in teams of orthopedic surgeons. And I think they just said, you know what? We have to take her because if we don't, we're going to get crucified if she does well. So, so again, gravely concerned, and she is a big-time pass on me. Arika Abumawale, on the other hand, on that team is an absolute bucket getter, and she is very, very good.
Yeah, well, since we're on the subject of rookies, who nabbed a good rookie this year that may have a huge impact? Go down the list.
Well, I think if we just look at it, obviously we talked about Paige. Dominique Maglione is going to be, she's going to be pretty good. But I think the one to really take a look at, if we, obviously everybody's going to talk about one, right? Everybody's going to talk about Haley Van Lith and the Chicago Sky because of how polarizing Angel Reese was last year.
Right.
Haley Van Lith, you can make a pretty damn good argument that Haley Van Lith is more polarizing than Angel Reese, who had beef, by the way, when Haley was at LSU before she transferred to TCU, before she transferred about 10 different colleges now with NIL. Her and Angel Reese had a lot of problems. They are now on the same team. So I think Haley Van Lith falling all the way to 13th was a great grab. But was it a great grab from a basketball standpoint, or was it a great grab from a marketing standpoint? That has yet to be seen.
Yeah, and I thought Reese did pretty good last year in the rebound department. She's not a prolific scorer, but she goes after boards, and she is good. She's comes with a whole lot of bullshit, with her, so to speak. A lot of drama, this, that, and the other, and she's pounding the desk for equal pay and this, that, and the other. Now, a couple of the middle of the road teams that could surprise here. I had a couple of questions for you. Getting down to the Phoenix Mercury. Give me your Nate Tibbetts is in there at head coach.
Got the job there. And you're right.
I'm curious. They've got some players, but you're listing the depth issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and of course, Deanna Taurasi's gone. So,
Yeah,
but give me your take on Phoenix this year.
Well,
middle of the pack team.
Yeah, I would say, given the way this is going to work out, I have one team that I think is going to shock everybody, and you well know this because you're sitting with all my power rankings, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But on the Phoenix Mercury side, they do have a bona fide, absolute superstar in Kalikop. Okay, a superstar. Now, obviously, you lose Brittany Griner and you lose DT. I can make a pretty damn good argument, Tony, that Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner are going to go down. Love them, hate them. I don't give a shit, man. Okay? I really don't care. I personally like them, but that's up to you whether you like them or not. But you can make an argument that they are going to go down with the Lisa Leslies of the world. Okay?
Right.
With
I agree.
Sure, with the Tamika Catchings of the world. You know, and the Sue Birds of the world, right? Gosh, thank goodness I didn't forget the pride of Staten Island there.
Yeah.
Sue Bird. So I think that when it's all said and done, losing essentially what could be when they do the WNBA, kind of like, remember 20 years ago when the NBA did that all 50 team, the top 50 players of all time? If the WNBA right now held a top 5 players of all time, I assure you, Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi are both on that list. So you lose both of them. I think we're going to see a big dip. Don't forget, if they were to do an all-25 team, Skylar Diggins-Smith would be on that team, and she also left the Phoenix Mercury.
Yeah.
So there's no real addition by subtraction here, in my opinion. I think they're going to take a dip from last year. They lost to the Minnesota Lynx in the first round. I think they could possibly sneak in just because of how bad that bottom portion is when we talk about the teams like the Chicago Sky, the Washington Mystics, Golden State, and surprisingly, for the first time in 20 years, the Connecticut Sun. I mean, goodness gracious, they might not win a game.
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about the Los Angeles Sparks, who were a huge disappointment last year at 9-31. Give me your take on them a little bit. Lynn Roberts has got her hands full.
She's got her hands full, but I'll tell you what, I like this team. I like this team a lot. I like them to make the playoffs. I like them to make noise in the playoffs. They keep in mind, Lynn Roberts turned around Pacific University from 3-26 to 26-3. She then got the Utah job. What'd she do? She took them from 4-30 to 28-10. Then she stays there. She wins 20 games for 5 years straight. She gets her chance in the WNBA this year. And what does she get? She gets Cameron Brink, Lexi Brown, Rakira Jackson, all 3 rookies from last year that they basically traded the farm for. Cameron Brink is healthy. Lexi Brown is healthy. Rakira Jackson, if anybody watched Unrivaled, Rakira Jackson averaged 21.2 points per game in Unrivaled. And that's going against the best of the best, by the way, this past summer. It was really, really special to watch. Keep in mind, Kelsey Plum is also there. Odyssey Sims is there. Mercedes Russell is there. Azura Stevens is there. Ray Burrell, Diersa Hamby. They have some players and they have some dogs who get after you defensively. They may not score a lot of points. They're going to have to rely very heavily on Aria McDonald and Kelsey Plum and Cameron Brink down low to score, but they are going to be absolutely all over you like white on rice, like jeans on an ass in terms of defense. And it's going to be scary to play them. I would not want to be any WNBA team sans the Liberty and maybe the Lynx and Aces. I would not want to go play at LA this year. I think they're going to be a very good home team, and I think they're going to sneak up on a lot of teams on the road.
A little bit of a dark horse, and if you have a weak front court, they're going to eat you up.
Yes.
That's for sure. Now, one more team here, then we'll get to the bottom 3 that we want to fade every chance we get if the line is right. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
But you have the Seattle Storm downgraded in your power ratings. Now, this is a team that was 10 games over 500 last year. Gave the Aces, I believe they played the Aces in the postseason.
They lost to the Aces in the first round, but they gave them a fight. They fought.
Yeah, they played well against the Aces. I went to a couple of those playoff games personally when I was living in Vegas last year, and I went to some of the New York Liberty games in the finals as well. The Las Vegas Aces. One thing about them, they do pack the house.
Yes, they do. They sell
time.
it.
They sell out every game, and people are rabid about them. And
they've been selling out, Tony, before Caitlin Clark. They've been selling out long before Caitlin Clark came along. Let's get that straight.
That's the thing about Vegas. I lived out there almost 8 years. I'm not full-time there anymore, but it's interesting. They don't get behind the Raiders. There's a lot of Raiders fans in Las Vegas, but they're not behind them and rabid like they are the Golden Knights and the Aces.
Yeah.
Because those two teams were basically, quote unquote,
born.
Vegas. They were Vegas born.
I think
they call it Vegas born out there, and they are fanatical about their original teams there. The Raiders are a tourist attraction. The opposing teams, if you want to, really, if you want to go on a road trip and see your team play somewhere, why the hell would you go to Buffalo in December when you can go to Vegas in December and watch your team indoors? And by the way, it's Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to Vegas, so it's a little different there. But nonetheless, Seattle, you've got them downgraded quite a bit here.
Yeah, I think, we were talking about giving out free nuggets here on this show just because certain things that we didn't, I'm not going to give my clients, premium stuff. I'm giving my clients premium stuff. You're giving your clients. We're not going to talk about that. But what we are going to talk about is from free stuff here. The Seattle Storm, and I'm looking at 5 different sports books right now I have in front of me on a couple different tablets. The Seattle Storm are between minus 600 and minus 650 to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I will take the plus 510 all day, twice on Sunday for the Seattle Storm to not make the playoffs. Not make the playoffs. I would take the under, and I would take them to not make the playoffs. They basically have, and I'll just very quickly, Tony, their offense and scoring points. I don't know how that's going to happen. I think if anything, we're going to have a lot of, you might see a lot of unders with this team. They might trend towards the under because they do play a little bit of defense, but they really, they could not, they would struggle to throw a basketball into the ocean if they were standing on the beach in my hometown of Atlantic City. They would struggle to put the ball inside the ocean. And they traded away 22.7 point per game scorer, Jewel Lloyd. So let's have the second worst offense in the league, and let's trade away our best scorer, and let's not get anybody for her in return. I don't believe in who they brought in. I understand they have a great rookie from France who could possibly win Rookie of the Year. We talked about Paige Beckers. If she stays healthy, if she doesn't stay healthy, I am all over fading the Seattle Storm. This is not the Seattle Storm that has Brianna Stewart and Sue Bird and Jewel Lloyd and Gabby Williams from 3 years ago. This is a whole different team. They have injury issues all over the place. A lot of unders here, and just a team that's not going to be able to score in a league that really has become very scoring dependent.
Yeah, Tim Fynes joins us here, DocSports.com. Go get yourself a WNBA package. In the link in the description below, there's a $60 free $60 link. There's a tab on the website that says free 60, and we'll put it in any new account. You can put it towards any package you want from any handicapper, but get my WNBA package and get $60 off of it. Comes with a profit guarantee and no hassles. Bear in mind that 3 years ago, we went 62% for the entire season. The year after that, we went 61.7%. Last year, we hit the skids below 500 last year, but expect a huge bounce back. I know Tim's put in a lot of work in the offseason, and we're really dialed in for this year. Now, if you don't like the WNBA, you don't like watching chicks play basketball, don't watch it. Just bet it.
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
go to the window and then go to the window the next day. It's very simple.
and we may even delve into the prop market a little bit,
Yeah.
into the WNBA this year as well. Throw you a few nuggets there as well. But get over to Docs and get yourself hooked up. 2 out of the last 3 years. It's very, very, very difficult to achieve 60% in any sports season. I don't know what the frick you guys are watching out there in video land and video podcast land, and people coming out of the woodwork left and right entering the business. All of a sudden they've got all the answers, and they're 25 years old and never placed a more than $100 bet in their life, and now they're an expert on video. And the thing of it is they'll give you some outlandish numbers, but I will tell you right now, it is extremely difficult to achieve that 2 out of the last 3 years. So we've got a little bit of a track record. We're just not blowing smoke up your ass here. Now, getting back quickly here, there's 3 teams we need to avoid like the plague in your power rankings, and those are the Connecticut Sun. In this order, you have them power ranked 11th, the Washington Mystics, who are actually in action tonight against Atlanta. So we're going to see the interesting dichotomy there. And then
I was going to, and Tony, before you say that, and you know this as well as I do, I am convinced the odds makers in Vegas and Atlantic City knew this when they put this line out. I just want to say kudos and give a round of applause to anybody who hopped on the opening line of the Atlanta Dream -3. I want to say that again. The Atlanta Dream -3 over the Washington Mystics, that is now up to about 8, 8.5, and 9, and and going to close, by the way, at about 12. So I hopped on it. I know I told Tony to hop on it, but it moves so quickly. Tony will be the first to tell you this. I will be the second to tell you this. WNBA lines move quicker and faster than almost any line in sports. I know it sounds hard to believe, but Tony, back me up on that. They move so fast.
It's interesting in the gambling marketplace in general, with legalized betting now in 36 states in one form or another, how much more line movement there was when you could only bet in Vegas.
Sure.
It took a lot. It took a lot to move a line, but it was concentrated in Nevada, basically. Now with so much money coming in all over, East Coast money, legal money now that can be tracked and seen, lines move a lot more.
Key phrase there, Tony, right? Tracked and seen money.
Right. And then, well, I'm not going to get into,
I hear you.
I'm not giving the Department of Justice any ammunition here.
Me and you both.
Yeah. But at day's end, with all that being said, the WNBA, a side play can move 5 points in a day, and a total can move as much as 8 to 10. I mean, it really, really accelerates. Now, we extended our release time by an hour. So we release at 11:30 Central versus 10:30 Central for everything else, because sometimes these lines are slow to come in or whatever. And here's the thing. When you get a package or you buy a daily package or you see that we have a 6 or 7 unit play, you need to get on that immediately. Because the line, we handicap at a value number. I've had Tim send me plays 20 minutes before release time, and the line that he sent me is already up by 1 point in 20 minutes.
20 minutes, 1 point.
I'm telling you, folks, bet them. If you're betting them, bet them early, or if you get a pick and we released it at 3.5 and it's up to 6, you know what? Live to fight another day.
Yeah, sure.
If we like a team, maybe cut it in half, cut the units in half on a 4-unit play when the line's 5 points off. When we released it, you didn't get it till 3 in the afternoon. Cut it in half, bet the first half line and cut the units in half. Something
Sure.
like that. You could do something with it, but just bear in mind, you've been warned.
You've been warned.
It happens. It happens. So just FYI, when it comes to your betting technique, and some of these, they're good for in play as well if you've got that capability. But Connecticut Sun, Washington Mystics, and then the Golden State Valkyries. Tell me a little bit about this upstart franchise. Can they win a game?
Yeah, I think they'll win a game between one of the two teams you just mentioned. I don't know which one, but I think it's. I think finally we saw what needed. Listen, I have nothing against her as a person. Certainly nothing against her as a basketball player or a human being. I wish her nothing but the best. But I am happy that Elena Delle Donne finally called it a day. The health issues that she was dealing with. I have an enormous amount of empathy for that. I really do. I'm sorry she had to call it a day. One hell of a career, one hell of a ride. Hats off to her. But now that she has left, at least when she was there, Tony, the Mystics at least had some hope. Like maybe she kind of was like the Kristaps Porzingis, right? Like, well, maybe he might play. We got hope, right?
Yeah.
Mike got a little bit of hope. Now at least the Mystics at least they don't have any hope. And hope can be a dangerous thing. So at least now we know there's no more. She might be back in a week. She might be back in 2 weeks. She might be back in 2 months. She might be back in 2 years. Now we know she's done. Again, great job, excellent career. But they are going to be so god awful. Golden State's going to win a game probably at home against the Sun, probably at home against the Mystics. They might sneak up on somebody like the Storm. Or the Wings of the Sky, want to catch them on a bad night, especially Seattle with the way we talked about how they shoot the basketball. But I told you, I put them on hopefully the basketball gods will have mercy on those teams because it's going to be really, really ugly in Connecticut, Washington, and in the Bay Area this year if you're a women's basketball fan.
Well, Tim Fynes has his power rank teams 1 through last. And you can find that art. He sent me a script. I'm going to share it with you. I've got a group page over on Facebook. Just type in Tony George Sports. I'll copy and paste Tim's write-ups 1 through how many teams we got now in the league?
13 now.
I believe we've got 13, 45 games this year, folks. More WNBA action. You're catching a service that was 61% or better 2 years in a row. We stepped on our PP a little bit last year. Didn't get it done for you. Came on a little bit stronger at the end of the season, but we're going to carry that momentum into 2025. Tim Fynes will be the lead capper. He's the one that calls the shots. He's the one that does the write-ups. And the thing about Tim is when he does a write-up, he did it versus me. Because it's detailed and long and well thought out. Tim is an ex-college basketball player, an ex-college basketball coach. He knows his shit. We're not blowing smoke up your butt. Probably one of the best values in sports handicapping when it comes to the WNBA. You will not have a selection that you invested in that was not well researched. I will tell you that from a broken down by a player-by-player perspective. Tim does a nice job for us there. And, of course, all his stuff can be found at DocSports.com. And his write-ups for the little descriptions and power rankings in order will be on my group page on Facebook. Just type in Tony George Sports. I can't put it on Twitter. It's too long. But Tim will join us from time to time during the WNBA season for some updates. We'll have an all-star break show, and we can see where we're at, where we were right. And trust me, we're going to be wrong about somebody. There's going to be somebody.
There's going to be somebody every year.
And be a dark horse and make some noise and surprise some people. And there's always that team that disappoints. The expectations were high and things haven't worked out. Of course, at the All-Star break, nobody's out of it yet, especially with only a 45-game schedule. So, there's some room to easy stuff to make up for. But Tim will be with us throughout the season. Tim, I appreciate you coming on the show. And we're looking forward not only to the WNBA this year, but also some college basketball upcoming here this fall. So, yeah.
Always.
So Tim will be with us. And be sure and get to DocSports.com. Thumbs up, subscribe. And don't forget that free $60 link in the description below, the tab on the website. Get yourself invested in a solid WNBA handicapper. The dynamic duo of Tim Fynes and Tony George won't let you down in 2025. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.